Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Sorry about the lack of videos lately. It's been pretty much no time to record. My wife and I's jobs require a lot of our attention this time of year. But something came across our newsfeed the other day that I wanted to address because it does directly affect us. And by directly affects us, I mean it's a first world problem. Disney just announced they are foregoing the enchant keys, which is what myself and Dan have had in the past and have currently. After a year of not having it, we renewed it with this last trip, only to find out they're no longer going to be renewing it after our go-around this time. And here's the part that we got overzealous as Disney files. We decided we weren't going to go as much last year, so there was no point in renewing our key since we live out of state. And then we ended up going 3 times still, so it actually made sense to have kept them. And from the time we originally bought them, they've gone up dramatically in price, so over $300 at this point. So an extra $600 for us to go to Disney and spend money seemed a little crazy. Granted, us spending money on Magic Passes, or Magic Keys, while not living in California, also kind of crazy, but we went enough where it seemed justified. But what they announced is they're going to be replacing the enchant key with something called the Explorer key, which my first red flag there, Disney, and I hope this reaches someone. Why do we keep changing the names and the rebranding and everything? I mean, a majority of people still call it their annual pass, their AP, not this Magic Key nonsense. I do call it Magic Key for the sake of talking about it, but when I'm there, I'll just be like, oh, I'm an AP holder or whatever, and they all know what I'm talking about. So the constant rebranding is kind of odd, and I would like to see some consistency between Florida and Disneyland. You know, they still have their annual pass there. They don't call it Magic Key. And I know a lot of people, especially a lot of YouTubers that used to have the pass for both parks, do miss that universal world pass type deal. But neither here nor there. Let's talk about this enchant key versus Explorer key. For all intents and purposes, it is the same thing, with some slight variations. And if you want to get those full details, go to the Disney site. I'll try to link it down below. But the reality is, it's the exact same thing. Yes, with more days from what I understand, which is great. There should have been more days to begin with when you're paying that much for a key. I know there's going to be some blackout days, but at the same time, you have guaranteed money, like let people into the park. But they're also increasing price again, going from $949 to $999, so it's now $1,000. And the average 4-day park hopper is a little over 400. Well, over 400. So if you go 10 total days of the year, yeah, it's justified getting the Magic Key. But how often do people outside of California go more than 10 days a year? And even then, like our best year, we've gone 3 different trips of 4 days at a time. So that's 12 days. So we surpassed that by 2 days, which has been fairly common with us. Just like the proclamation we made last year, we do not see ourselves being able to go a lot this year because we have other things happening, family-wise, work-wise, and just other travels we want to do. So to justify going there for at least 10 days is going to be kind of hard. Like we're talking about a possible trip in February during what's called Rodeo Week here in Tucson. Yes, we get an entire 4-day weekend for rodeo. The only place in the country that does that. With all that being said, that's going to be just 1, maybe 2 days if we do that. And we know we're going in June possibly with my wife and her family. So that's going to be another 3 to 4 days. So even with, let's just say 4 days and 2 days, we're at 6 days, which leaves 4 days for, it's not going to be justifiable. And we actually were going to talk about getting the boys passes this next time around, which again, doesn't make sense now. And Henry, who's about to turn 9 this coming year, he's now saying certain things like, we're going to Disneyland again. The magic is starting to become slightly removed. I have the core memories with him, and he has the core memories too. There's things that he loves there, Small World, Goofy's Kitchen, things like that. But I think we're going often enough now where it's become expected, not a magic moment. So I think a break would do us good, but let's call it what it is. These trips have never been solely for our children. They're for my wife and I too, because we absolutely love going to Disneyland. I love the history and the culture and the fanfare behind it. Dana loves the history and culture and fanfare as well, but with her too, it's that magical escape as it is for me. So we go in there, no matter what your problems are in the outside world, you go into Disney, and they stop at the gate for the most part. I know what you're thinking, like you're going there and spending a lot of money. Like to me, how is that different than therapy? How is that different than going to Vegas as some other adults do? The difference is we're getting a little bit of a return on our investment with the emotional satisfaction. But Disney's starting to price it to the point where it's not really feasible to do what we did as a family of four. You know, Dana and I's very first trip ever that we went by ourselves, it was $786, and that was for 3 nights in the hotel and 2 days in the parks. So, I mean, it's a lot of money back then. This was almost, I would say, 13 years ago, 12, 13 years ago. And we did it. It was expensive for us at the time, and we had a blast, and it became a tradition for us. When I was just looking at prices this morning, the cheapest hotel I could find for 4 nights, just for the hotel, that was in the distance we want to be in, was $1,600, and that's without buying the boys' passes, and not including what we would have had to pay for ours. I mean, let's just do that math real quick. Let's just say $400 a piece for the ticket. Now you're talking about $800, $1,600 plus $1,600 for the park. You're talking about $3,200 for 4 nights, 3 days in the park. It's starting to price people out, and let's be honest, people are not going to go to Disney. I mean, even the pandemic, when the world was shut down and no one knew what was going on, you heard it from the mountaintops, everyone screaming, oh my gosh, they're closing Disney. When Disneyland closed, that's for a lot of people when this pandemic became real. For me, it was when Disneyland closed and when the NBA called the season mid-season. Taking Disney away does not sit well with a lot of the Disney files. So to keep raising prices, I understand that, you know, costs go up, and with all the new negotiations with the labor unions, like salaries go up, hourlies go up, and I get it. There's always going to be a slight calculated inflation for the cost of doing business. But just in the last 4 years, having a $300 per ticket increase for an annual pass, that seems like heavy inflation. And here's the fun part. You're not getting more out of it. You've actually been getting less and less with each iteration and go round. I mean, we're going back to the discussion of Lightning Lane versus the Fast Pass system. Like, I'm a huge advocate and fan of Fast Pass. I thought Fast Pass was genius. Fast Pass was great, but they saw a place to monetize it. And to me, if you're going to monetize something like that, you find something else to incentivize your customer base. Okay, this is going up, but you're also getting this over here now on us, essentially gratis, even though we all know it's not cheap and not free. Because even when they did the 70th anniversary, I was so excited for all the different things they had in mind, like the Key to the Kingdom, which granted I thought was really overpriced for what you get. Essentially, you're paying for a pin, but it was the actions, it was the memory, it was the dropping the camera. And we're back. Sorry about that. But with the Key to the Kingdom, it's the going around, it's the doing of it. It was the experience. Now, the thing that a lot of people went there and got, and I absolutely loved, I thought was kind of fun, with the magic bands, which by this point I would have hoped there was way more interactions with magic bands, but there's still not as much as I would like. I mean, even to the point where can we just use it as like a payment? Like, what can we do with a magic band? Which I still enjoy a magic band, and we use it every time we go. It was those cards, those little collectible cards you go to all the different lands where you tap your magic band, you get them. That was really fun, but that was literally pieces of paper. You know, we planned an entire trip to Disney around pieces of paper. Yeah, I would like to see more bang for our buck, and yes, they're adding more days to the park. That's fantastic. But for people that work and for people that live out of state and everything, adding more days that you can go is great. But it's not really an incentive at this point. Like, I don't know if Disney's just trying to price people out to bring down crowd levels, because let's call it what it is. Disney is truly, for a majority of people on this planet who are lucky enough to have ever gone, it is a once-in-a-lifetime vacation. I make the joke, and I'm also halfway serious, that my kids are extremely lucky and spoiled suburbanite children at this point, because they've been to Disney so much. I mean, talking about just total days in the park, they've probably booked an entire month, 30 days in the park, like actually walking around in the park itself, not including Disney World. For a lot of people, they may have went once and it was just for a day or maybe 2, and it was not something that was a easy financial decision for those who took them. So my point being, Disney is just pricing it more and more to the point where it's not really feasible for most people, which goes against what I believe Walt really wanted the park for, which, don't get me wrong, Walt was a businessman, but he was a businessman that put the experience first. So it's as much as in Walt's dream as it is a viable business. You know, his family got to eat and everybody was happy, everybody was getting paid, while not skimping on the experience for the people that they brought into the park. But it's getting to the point where it is just Las Vegas for children. So I don't think we're going to renew our passes after this time around, but we're definitely going to utilize them while we have them, and definitely incorporate some different trips. I know I've already said all this in the past in different videos, but the reality is we might be outgrowing Disney in as much as financially. I do take a lot of pride in being an annual pass holder, Magic Key holder, because it's something that I love. It's part of our personality. It's part of our family. But at what point do you finally have to say, you know what? I give up. It's not really doable anymore. All right, what are your thoughts, though? Are you a Magic Key holder, and do you plan on renewing if you're in the Enchant? Are you looking to upgrade? Tell me your thoughts. And I know this is a weird soapbox to get on, but it does something that directly affects me and my family. Because we got one so often, we were very proud and happy to be Magic Key holders. But it's to the point where I guess it just doesn't make sense anymore. And one can argue it never made sense to begin with, but hey, neither does collecting comic books, collecting cars, or any of the stuff that we do to add a little bit of meaning to our little lives. That's just my 2 cents. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. This was a quick video. I just didn't know I was gonna be able to chance to record another one, and I had thoughts on this, so I wanted to make sure I shared them with y'all. All right, bye-bye, everybody.